What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of KM Videos Clarifications. KM Videos True Stories.
It. I never stopped banging. I started banging hard, then I got so hard till it was a shame.
Welcome to another episode of KM Videos True Stories. Today I just want to clarify some things. Maybe I'll do one or two other videos about some of the stories I told recently. You know, sometimes my mind just don't be right. I just don't get it all together. You got to motivate yourself to tell these stories every day. That's why I take so many breaks. And you have to, like me personally, I want to really be into it. I want to feel it in my gut when I tell y'all these stories. That way you remember the details and you really get the facial expressions and the memory of how you were feeling at the time all come back to you in front of the camera. But I said I wasn't going to tell any good or bad. I didn't have any good or bad stories about my grandfather. Well, I do have one more. And this story right here, obviously I wasn't there. I learned this through family history. So, my father was born in Bastrop, Texas. Some of y'all know that already, but I left that out the story for you new people or you people that may have missed it. So, Pops had one sister, an older sister, Pearl Evelyn. And they had the same father and same mother. Their father's name was Elvin. Elvin was from Bastrop, Texas as well. Elvin's father was a black native, or 50% black and native. I remember my grandmother she used to always tell me, you know when you get older and you repeat stuff over and over, right? So my grandmother would always tell me that my grandfather's mother was this old white lady with long gray hair. Come to find out, she was Indian. She was an Indian with the long gray hair. I talked to my cousin Tammy about it. Tammy already knew all this. You know, Tammy's a lot older than me. And Tammy was close to her mom. So Tammy had knew a lot of the things that I didn't know about the native side to our family. You know, she was already up on all that stuff when I told her. I had even said, you know, you got white in you. You know your grandfather's mother was white. She wasn't white. I said, yes, she was. Mother told me that. She wasn't white. She was Indian. So now I was caught up in between. Do I believe my cousin or do I believe my grandmother, right? Like if you knew my grandmother, you would believe her. If you knew my cousin, she wasn't no liar or nothing, but she was younger, and I would just think she didn't know. But my father had a picture, and I didn't get that picture, or if I got it, I threw it away. But I wish I would have kept it, if I ever had it. But my father had a picture of his grandmother in his room when he died, a black and white photo of his grandmother. And yeah, she was Indian from Oklahoma. They came from Oklahoma. They migrated from Oklahoma in the 1800s. And ended up going through Texas to Bastrop. And that's where our family roots in my time come from. His mother was either 100% Native Indian or she might have been mixed. One of them's 50%, one's 100%. Shout out to baby S Mac for grabbing my family history for me so I could kind of learn and dig into my father's side of the family. Because we know all about mom's side of the family through genealogy and research and going out meeting people and having family functions. And so he got with my grandmother. They didn't live too far from each other. Well, back then, according to my grandmother, they had to walk miles to go to school, miles to a store. So they had their own farm and vegetables and all of that stuff, right? Fruits. So they did their own farming, their own food type of thing. Now, my father was about 6 years old, maybe 7, 6 years old. And his sister was probably about a year or 2 older than him. He looked up to his sister. He loved and admired his sister a whole lot. And they were real tight, real close. Always, throughout life, their whole existence, they were really close. Lived in a duplex together on the east side, low bottoms. In fact, I got a homie who asked me to speak more on me growing up over there and the dudes I ran with over there. So maybe I'll get to that pretty soon. Maybe. To appease the homie. I always try to give y'all what you want. Try. Not necessarily come through. And so, Grandma is in love with this dude, Elvin. They don't live together, though. But she loves this man. And she got 2 kids by this man. So one day, this man comes over to my grandmother's house and he tells her, Pearl Lee, I need to talk to you. So they talk, stand out on the porch and talk, and he said, I'm getting ready to go to the Army. So she says, okay, all right. So he disappears. She never hear from this dude again. Dude done ran off on his girl and his kids. So she thinks he's overseas somewhere in the Army. She's happy. She's proud that her man, her kid's father, is overseas. When he come back, their life gonna be gravy. They're gonna get married and everything. One day the mailman comes to deliver the mail and he sees my grandmother and he said, before he hands her the mail, he said, yeah, I seen your husband in a newspaper. You have to know my grandmother to see her expression. She's like, huh? Yeah, I seen your husband, your man, in a newspaper. She's like dumbfounded. What are you talking about? Oh, he just got drafted or some shit. He signed up to go into the Navy. But this is months down the line. This is months down the line. And she's like, what? And so this photo, this newspaper is actually in town. So this dude never left town. That was his way of leaving her, getting out that relationship. And when Grandma found out, she was hurt. This is how my family got to LA. There would be no me. There would be no local band had this not happened. So my grandmother couldn't afford to take care of her 2 kids. And she had an uncle that had moved to the east side of Los Angeles down in the 20s or 30s. And this dude used to sell, liquor, and he would shoot dice, he would gamble. He ran numbers. He was a hustler, a bootlegger. His name, I believe, was Uncle Bubble. It's always some confusion in the family because they don't really know the history as it was told to me by my grandmother and my father. For whatever reasons. Maybe they never asked. Maybe my grandmother was too proud to let them know her uncle was a hoodlum. Her uncle was like her son and her grandkids, or we were like him. So Uncle Bubba owned different properties. And so my grandmother sent my father and his sister to LA, to the east side of LA. Pops went to school in LA. He was 7 years old. 7 years old when he came to LA. He went to school. I believe he went to Wadsworth. I believe he went to South Park Elementary. Then he went to John Muir Junior High School and Manual Arts. So with everything that I already explained, if you go back to the story I told about my grandfather, this is why my father never wanted to know his father, never liked or respected his dad. Pops would refuse to go to Texas because Pops felt some type of way about his daddy leaving him and abandoning him and not raising him. This is why he refused to go to Texas and see the family. He had some type of grudge against his father, but not necessarily the whole family. So he would always stay in touch with his cousins. We got cousins in Linwood. It's probably y'all probably from Linwood neighborhood or Palm Oaks right now. A male and a female. Y'all my cousins. But I don't know y'all. I don't know who you are. I mean, I don't know what you look like. I knew your mama. I met your mama several times. Don't even remember her name. I could call and get the name. But yeah, well, I got a female and male cousin in Linwood, man. Shout out to y'all, man. If you know, you know. I don't know, though. I don't know. I always worried about getting with a fine girl out of Linwood and end up being my cousin. Like, damn, incest like a mug. Do you break it off at that point? Or do you stay together? Now your nephews, your nieces, your cousins, now your cousins is your son and your daughter. Your son and your daughter are your cousins now. I always used to think about that, so that's another reason why I would ask my grandmother things after my father passed. I'm telling you, man, not to bash no deadbeat granddaddy or nothing like that, because it is what it is. He can only be who he was. And I have no say-so in that. I never met the man. I was never in his life, so I ain't got nothing to do with that. But I was a piece of shit-ass motherfucker. Also, when I talked about my father going to the East Coast, I meant eastward, because through the South. Wherever he would go, anywhere to the South, like Tennessee, Georgia, wherever, he would always go through Texas so he could see them. But he told me, and I don't know what freeways go through Texas and none of that, but he told me he would go like through the top part of Texas. Like he didn't go all the way down deep into Texas. So whatever family members he had or were meeting through the top part of Texas, he would like to go through and see them. And so I never met them. I never met nobody in Texas, never seen no family in Texas. We never went to Texas with Pops or any family members on his side. So I never met them except for the cousin that had moved to Linwood. Joyce, that's her name, Joyce. If your mama named Joyce, check in. I might be your cousin. You know, what was your mama's last name? That's how we gonna find out. If you knew my grandmother, she was so cool, so in control, and she ran a tight ship. She ran everything. She raised some great kids, sent them all off to college and stuff. But I remember one day my uncle was clowning because my grandmother was talking some mess, and she called my uncle crazy. And my uncle said, "Who crazy? I ain't crazy. That's why your man left you." And I just fell out laughing, you know. So they would joke sometime as I got older and they got older that, you know, that my grandfather left her because of her attitude. And that would piss her off. She would be foaming at the mouth hot. And grandma would never be like that hot, you know what I'm saying? But she was hot. Had little spit coming out the side of her mouth like a pit bull with rabies. But I thought that shit was funny. Not that I ever clown my grandmother, love her to death. You never hear me joke about her. But I thought that was funny when they talked about him leaving her. Because she told me the story, so it all made sense to me, and I thought it was pretty funny. But now that I actually know this dude's character, yeah, he was an asshole. He would leave anybody. That nigga would leave himself if he could. I'm hoping to see Grandpa. I talked to Grandpops on the phone. Talked to Grandpops. I'm like, "What's up, man? What's up? You know?" And he like, "When you coming to see me?" Shit, I'm getting ready to come on such and such date. He said, I'll be here waiting on you. I'll pick you up from the airport. We spend some time together. Hell yeah, I'm finna go hang out with Grandpops, see what Grandpops is about, and get to know my grandfather. I'm gonna see you. All right, later. Boom. So on the day of, when I get there, my father picked me up. I'm like, damn, where your dad at? He said, oh, I just took him to the airport before you got here. He went back to Dallas for a couple of weeks. For a couple of weeks, yeah. That's how long I'm going to be here, a couple of weeks. Yeah, he told me. You told him you're going to be here 2 weeks. So he made his flight. The day you coming, he coming back. The day you leave. I'm like, boy, you can never get enough of Papa Mac and Grandpapa Mac. You can't get enough of these dudes, man. Like, this is a joke. Like, nigga, this is like a movie script, nigga. This nigga ain't never spent more than 5 minutes with me when he gave me $10. And this nigga say he waiting on me and can't wait to spend time with me. This nigga going off to Texas to see his people. Like I said once before, not to be bashing no deadbeat granddaddies, because that man is who he was. Can't change that. And I had nothing to do with that, so there's no guilt in me. I never met him, so he didn't run away from me. He just never came to see me. So in knowing his character, I really realized the flaws was in him. That was something he was dealing with. And then to find out he was a player still messing with young girls. That probably had a lot to do with him leaving grandma at the time. Does he have any other kids? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. That's for damn sure. Lucky for my grandmother, she met this dude named James. James met her, fell in love with her from day one. Time he met her, he fell in love. My grandmother was fresh in L.A., went to work one damn day. She went to work in one of them warehouses in downtown to do some sewing. You know, like they got all the Mexicans, the Latinos down there nowadays. Grandma was down there to do that. And he told her, if you marry me, you never have to work another day in your life. She hurried up and married him. And he told the truth. She never worked another job. She became a housewife. She raised them kids up in the house, took care of home. What a wonderful, wonderful story. She went from that piece of shit ass nigga to a man that took care of her the rest of her life. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to give some clarification on that. You know what I'm saying? Got to get this content up at the end of the year. You know, I haven't been putting no work in. Y'all know what I've been going through. So I got to try to run these numbers up right now, end of the month, man. That's your story for the day, man. Yeah, wanted to clarify some of that. Y'all have a good one. Be sure to click that like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'm out of here, y'all. Happy New Year. Salute.
This is Los